We've tracked a lot here how just involved the feds were in the alleged kidnapping plot around Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. You'll remember that dropped right before the election. It was a significant media story, and subsequent reporting from BuzzFeed News and others has revealed that it was almost entirely a government creation in the recruitment, in the amount of agents who were more involved than actual perpetrators, and many of the people who were on the federal side were quite sketchy. And the more that we learn about it, the more clownish it becomes. Let's put this up there on the screen. The FBI investigation into the alleged plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer has gotten very complicated. And what they point to in that complication are informants and agents within the case who have been engaged in behavior which is now criminal. And what we mean by that is this, and we'll start with the informant themselves, which is that one of the informants who was crucial to the investigation was indicted on a gun charge and is now under investigation for fraud. Cool. The documents reveal repeated instances of law breaking by Stephen Robinson, who, while working for the government, identified and recruited potential targets in multiple states who organized many of the events where prosecutors say that the alleged kidnapping plan was hatched. Now, those crimes actually took place right under the nose of his FBI handlers. But even more so is that the handlers themselves, Jason Chambers, this is a person who was working for the FBI, whose role within the case had not been previously as well known. Well, it turns out that while he was doing that, he was attempting to parlay his FBI work hunting for terrorists into a private money-making venture, which is a company that sought contracts in some cases worth millions of dollars to help institutions identify different public threats, and he's now then under investigation by the Justice Department and the FBI for engaging with this. I mean, how much more do we need to learn here about the people involved in this case? It's crazy.
It really is crazy. So you have that dude who's trying to cash in on his FBI work, and who they document here was kind of like, it looked like in a Twitter account he was affiliated with, dropping little hints, dropping non-public information about, oh, just wait. Almost like the, your time in the barrel is coming. Right. It was sort of like that
the
with
TikTok
regard to Michigan. Yeah, it was that kind of stuff. So you've got that guy. You've got another FBI agent who we covered before, who was the case's public face. Like, this guy was someone who they were leaning heavily on to testify and be sort of a linchpin of this prosecution. Oh, well, he was charged with beating his wife when they returned home from a swingers party. So that guy's out. He was fired soon thereafter. Another agent was accused of perjury. Okay, it's another one. You had a state prosecutor in a related case who was reassigned and then retired in the face of an audit into his prior use of informants. And then you have the informant you just mentioned, whose work was crucial to the investigation, indicted on a gun charge and under investigation for fraud. So I think this whole thing is extremely revealing of many things. First of all, and I really want you guys to take this in, if you're on the right side of the political spectrum, these are the tactics that were pioneered under the war against terrorism.
Oh, yes.
This is what was used routinely against young, disaffected Muslim men, predominantly, in order to, in some cases, radicalize people who weren't even radicals at the time, to then encourage them to come up with these plots, to then, do whatever they could to effectively entrap them. I mean, listen, the courts didn't rule that these things were entrapment, but I think anybody who looks dispassionately at the details and how involved the government was in this plot, in some of these plots, would see there would not have been a plot if it was not for the government encouraging and providing them resources and support to help concoct these plots. So those tactics are pioneered under the War on Terror, and now they're, continuing to be used, and in this instance, against these individuals. And no one is saying that these dudes who were open to the idea of, like, kidnapping and murdering Gretchen Whitmer are good people, right? That's part of what makes this complicated. It's part of what made, someone who's even open to the idea of bombing Herald Square. That's not a sympathetic figure. But these tactics are extraordinarily abusive, and bottom line, they are not making you more safe. They are generating more crime. They're putting money into the pockets of scumbags. We covered also how the FBI has authorized tens of thousands of crimes to be committed.
Of horrific crimes.
Under their purview.
Right.
So it really does call into question this whole idea of what is actually keeping us safe. What these sorts of major high-profile prosecutions and busts ultimately do is they bolster a lot of careers.
Yeah, exactly.
Law enforcement officials and of politicians. So that's why, I don't care where you are in the political spectrum, you should be very, very leery and upset about these type of tactics being used. Even if it's against people that you think are gross and that you totally hate, it really doesn't matter. It is absolutely abusive.
Yeah, that's something I've really had to learn. And now anytime I see any one of these stories, like big feds reveal plot, I'm like, yeah,
Skeptical.
hold on a second. Let me see the indictment. Let me see the underlying facts. And even then, I still don't believe you. And I'm probably not going to believe you unless I see a whole lot more of discovery. That's something, I cannot tell you how much skepticism has come over the last couple of years, and I would just encourage you all to incorporate it in your daily lives. I don't think you can trust them for a second. I really don't.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll have more for you later. Hey, guys. Thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.